Part 144. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1433. Zhang Zizai and Zhang Junjian looked at each other. In order to avoid long nights and dreams, there was no point in actually talking, so they just started killing. Zhang Junjian's 5 elements heavenly way and the 5 life heavenly ways of the living soul master attacked again almost at the same time. The two of them could have suppressed the deceased soul lord, but now Zhang Zizai is added. It is obviously too powerful, especially the current Zhang Zizai. They imagined that it is even stronger. He killed too many heavenly Dao today, and his destructive power also received too much nourishment. The ancestral dragon tower comes from nowhere, and Long Yan is in charge of it. The power of creation of the 10 dragon statues is driven by the power of destruction. Any sword is a terrifying force that destroys everything. Look at the latest chapter Baidu search product book net. At this moment, Zhang Zizai suddenly burst into flames, rushed towards the deceased soul master, and cooperated with the other 2 Taishan divine realm to crush his opponent. He knew what this deceased soul master was capable of. His 5 heavenly ways are all related to the soul. In fact, his control power is terrifyingly powerful. However, he and Zhang Zizai once defeated the God King of Life and Death from the God of Life and Death domain. They both have weaknesses. The weakness is that they are both extreme. Existence. The 5 heavenly ways of the deceased soul master are respectively the heavenly way of death. This is the method of killing people. The soul penetrates and sends people to death, but it is the fundamental way of heaven for their clan. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. The soul capturing heavenly way, this is the ultimate ability of the soul capturing mirror. It is the fundamental power. It is used by the deceased soul master to control all the souls in the world. Even Zhang Junjian allowed him to control it for a while just now, but Zhang Junjian finally held on. The heavenly way of split souls can create countless soul clones that can walk around the world and remain immortal. Therefore, the dead soul master is very difficult to kill because each of his soul clones can become a new version of himself. The way of heaven that gives birth to the soul. This is even better. It can create souls, which is almost equivalent to creating life. Together with the life master, it is possible for him to create life, but they have not tried it. Finally, the soul fusion heavenly way. It is said that it can fuse all souls. It is said that the rise of the deceased soul master is based on this soul melting heavenly way. He kills his opponents one by one and fuses their souls. The current deceased soul master is the aggregation of billions of souls and is the most terrifying. The soul beast of the past. The peak race is indeed easy to deal with. If Zhang Zizai hadn't obtained the power of destruction, it would have taken him who knows how long it would have taken him to reach this state. The harvest of every heavenly path for everyone here requires endless thinking. But the flower of destruction is like this. It was born to balance the way of heaven and truly implement the way of heaven. At this time, the 3 of them gathered together and exploded directly. Their heavenly power and Zhang Zizai's destructive power killed each other at the same time, surrounding the deceased soul beast. In front of Zhang Zizai, all the heavenly powers of the deceased soul master were false. His current destructive power is stronger than even the soul master of the past. When the opponent is stronger than the opponent, the 5 heavenly paths on the opposite side are completely useless in front of Zhang Zizai. Whether it is soul taking or rebirth, whether it is soul separation or creation, being crushed in the face of the destructive force will not pose any threat to Zhang Zizai's heavenly soul. However, Zhang Zizai's creation sword, at this moment, was in front of Zhang Junjian. With the help of the soul master, it penetrated his body easily. Poof! The ancestral dragon sword was passed on, and then it destroyed his heaven, his flesh and blood, his soul, and everything about him. The deceased soul master returned to his human form, and Zhang Zizai also returned to his human form. The ancestral dragon sword was inserted in his heart and passed on, and endless destructive power exploded crazily at this moment. The deceased soul master stretched out his hand and held the ancestral dragon sword dully. He seemed to have given up resistance. His face was still miserable. He stroked the lines of the ancestral dragon sword and suddenly raised his head. Strangely he smiled and said to Zhang Zizhe, this is not a weapon in our world. Do you know where it comes from? Do you know what it means? It means that this world is not the only one, maybe this endless void, there are countless worlds like ours. So what, I can't stop you from dying. Zhang Zizhe's destructive power surged throughout his body, compressing his 5 heavenly paths in one position, compressing them near the soul of the gods, and the horses and souls were torn apart together. At this time, he smiled again. He squinted his eyes to feel it, and suddenly made a comfortable voice and said, "Thank you, I know that only such oppression can make me survive and achieve this. Zhang Yunting is so great. Without him, no one would know that there is still this step at the end of cultivation." "What do you mean?" Zhang Zizhe was stunned for a moment, and then he was shocked to find that under the pressure of his destructive heavenly ways, the 5 trembling heavenly ways gathered next to his heavenly soul. After being pressed to the extreme, they were about to be destroyed. At the moment of tearing apart, the 5 heavenly paths began to merge. The 5 heavenly paths are integrated into one. The reason why Zhang Yunting was able to surpass history and create a prosperous age was because he broke through the limits and found the path after the Taishan divine realm. That was to integrate the 5 heavenly ways into one and reach the realm of the semi-ancestral. From then on, he was invincible in the world. The fusion of the 5 heavenly ways was indeed it is a completely new realm. After the integration, the way of heaven may not even be the way of heaven. It may be a higher power. Zhang Zizhe is not particularly clear about this. Only Zhang Yunting himself knows what kind of power it is. He knew that the other party had merged, so he rushed to kill him, but he suddenly found that when his 5 heavenly ways merged together, he was unprecedentedly powerful and had a certain resistance to his destructive power. This guy is really scary. He knows very clearly how to take the last step. He may have tried countless times. Only the power of destruction can make him afraid and make him survive in the extreme dangerous moment. Now it seems that he has obviously succeeded. However, even if he has reached the realm of half-ancestor, his flesh and blood body has almost been torn into pieces by Zhang Zizhe. At the moment when he could not do anything to his fusion of heavenly ways, Zhang Zizhe's destructive power has broken everything of him. He is left with the soul of the god and this fusion of heavenly ways. The next step is that Zhang Zizhe still has to destroy this fusion of heavenly ways. "You can't kill me," his laughter came out again. His flesh and blood were gone, but he actually laughed. The next moment, the fusion of the heavenly Dao actually merged into his heavenly soul. The fusion of the heavenly Dao must be related to the soul. This is the fusion of the 5 soul heavenly Daos. Zhang Zizhe didn't know what he would become now. He knew that Zhang Yunting was also the fusion of the 5 elements heavenly Dao. But, he still had to kill. He aimed at his heavenly soul, and the ancestral dragon sword pierced through it directly. He didn't believe it. He couldn't kill the remaining half-ancestor of the heavenly soul. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1434. Flesh and flesh are dead, only the soul of heaven and God can be merged. The two became one, as if the soul of this day was already its true body. The soul beasts of the past are originally dominated by divine souls, and their flesh and blood bodies do not have much combat power, so Zhang Zizhe can probably consider that the opponent may have preserved a lot of means and combat power. Therefore, now is the time to take advantage of the victory and pursue the victory, without delaying even a moment. Zhang Zizhe thought the same way. If there was any further delay, it would be very troublesome for the other party to escape. After all, he only needed to cultivate, and he could probably become a half-ancestor equivalent to Zhang Yunting. Once the other party was defeated, it would be difficult for the Peak Dragon clan to rest easy. Therefore, the deadliest Soul Master, the greatest enemy of the Peak Dragon clan, must die. Zhang Zizai's sword of creation at this time penetrated flesh and blood and pointed directly at the soul of the deceased Soul Master. Killed with one sword, everything is over. Is this the end of the road to revenge? Zhang Zizai found that he still underestimated this opponent. It is quite rare for others to underestimate him and himself to underestimate his opponent. This time, the deceased Soul Master did not retreat but advanced, taking the initiative to move towards Zhang Zizai. He was facing the edge of the ancestral dragon sword as if he was seeking death. "You're careless." At this moment, his weird laughter suddenly sounded in his ears, which made Zhang Zizai suddenly have a creepy feeling. He felt that he would kill his opponent soon. Where on earth was it? Something wrong gave him the courage to say this to himself. Suddenly, he never expected that at the moment when the power of destruction and creation exploded, he would actually collide with the ancestral dragon sword. He took the initiative. Zhang Zizi didn't know what kind of strength the half-ancestor had, so he couldn't imagine it at all. His divine soul was able to temporarily withstand the explosion of the destruction of heaven and the power of creation by integrating the heaven, and even rushed into the ancestral dragon tower at this time. The deceased Soul Master desperately entered his ancestral dragon sword. Within the ancestral dragon sword, there are 10 statues of divine dragons, as well as dragon faces. Only with her presence can the ancient blood spirit dragon exert its power, so Zhang Zizi must have her here when he uses the ancestral dragon tower to fight. When he realized the danger, when he knew the intention of the deceased Soul Master to fight his way into the ancestral dragon sword, it seemed to be too late. In the next moment, he summoned all the destructive power, blasting and crushing this person inside the ancestral dragon sword. The deceased Soul Master, but the deceased Soul Master was a desperate move. This was also his only hope. He ferociously used the fusion of heaven to break through the destruction of heaven, and rushed to Yanner with force. Zhang Zizai was unable to save Yanner. Yanner pulled out from inside, he locked the target, and the fusion of his heavenly soul and heavenly Dao crashed into Yanner's body. The next moment, when the destructive power swept towards Long Yan, her eyes suddenly changed, and she suddenly showed the expression of a deceased Soul Master. She smiled and said, "Zhang Zizai, I have merged with her heavenly soul. Together, my soul-melting heavenly Dao can allow me to live in anyone's divine soul. From now on, if you kill me, she will definitely die too. If you don't listen to me, I will die with her. In front of you. Now, it's fun, right?" Zhang Zizi never thought that killing the Soul Master of the past life would become so difficult. He had successfully killed several others before, but he never expected that this guy would be so difficult to deal with. He actually succeeded in merging the way of heaven in despair and was so powerful. Progress, and then locked the dragon face in the Zilong sword, rushed in with all his strength, and escaped from death directly without Zhang Zizai's expectation. He must have known that this girl's life and death was very important to Zhang Zizai, so he now I feel confident. "Are you dead?" Zhang Junjian and the living Soul Master all gathered together. They saw with their own eyes that Zhang Zizai killed the body of the deceased Soul Master. Now the aura of the deceased Soul Master has completely disappeared. They only waited for Zhang Zizai's answer. "You can completely relax." But Zhang Zizai's face didn't seem very good looking. He frowned and said, "He's not dead. He successfully fused with the way of heaven at the last moment. Although his physical body was destroyed, the fusion of the way of heaven was successful. He gathered the heavenly artifact and broke into the Zilong Tower, controlling Yan Sun. Zhang Junjian knew about Long Yan, but he didn't expect that things suddenly became so troublesome. He patted Zhang Zizai on the shoulder, glanced at the ancestral dragon sword in his hand, and said, it is indeed difficult for the deceased soul master to let's deal with it calmly. Zhang Zizai nodded. He knew that there was something against him now, and there seemed to be nothing he could do except calm down. Now we can only watch the deceased soul master make moves. No one could understand what happened in their duel, but when the gods of the deceased soul tribe took a look, they thought that the deceased soul master had died in the battle. They were already besieged, and now they were even more devastated and miserable. Escape. Anyone who doesn't escape at this time is basically dead. At least there is no threat on the peak Holy Dragon mountainside. Except for the trouble of the deceased soul master, their peak dragon clan has won a complete victory in this second origin war. Ruohua and the others don't know what's happening here yet, but Zhang Junjian has told them not to get close to here yet and continue to maintain the peak Holy Dragon Guardian formation. The war here is not over yet. So far, Zhang Zizai has not let Yan'er, who is controlled by the deceased soul master, come out. The deceased soul master himself has the soul-melting heavenly way. This is his ability to control other people, and it is also his path to rise. He constantly devours and fuses others. Yan'er's soul is definitely in very danger now. It is even possible that she has encountered an accident. Her body may become the new body of the deceased soul master. Don't worry, I won't kill her. If her soul dies, I won't have any leverage. However, in order to prevent me from being defeated, what will you do next? Listen to me. If you don't agree, then there is no other way. I am ready for everyone to die together. The voice of the deceased soul master was very calm, but also very firm. He looked at the 10 dragon statues in the ancestral dragon tower with Yan'er's eyes. Although he is now in the semi-ancestral state, he is definitely not stable, and has lost the body to carry it. Now using Yan'er's body, he should not be able to exert his full strength. Therefore, if Zhang Zizai gives up Yan'er's life and kills him completely, if so, it is possible to kill them, but this process may lead to the death of many sentient beings if the other party chooses to fight to the death. After all, he has merged with the way of heaven and is much stronger than before. Zhang Zizai had to admit that the person who took the initiative now was the deceased soul master. Now he made a mistake, which led to constant trouble. Maybe Long Yan's life was nothing to many people, but it was indeed Zhang Zizai's fatal weakness. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1435. Comparing the world with all living things, and the hatred and future of the peak dragon race, a person's life does seem unimportant, but Zhang Zizai is very difficult to pass this level. For him, this is a multiple choice question that cannot be chosen. Suddenly falling into such a troublesome situation, he is indeed a little irritable, but he knows very well that he is lucky enough to be able to do this step. There are not so many smooth sailing things in the world. Underestimating the opponent will cost you a price. He can only calm down and ask, "So, what do you want to do?" The Lord of the Rebirth Soul laughed a few times and said, "It's very simple. You don't need to kill people. You just need to absorb the destruction curse on Zhang Yunting." This request made Zhang Zizai feel strange. "You know a lot." "Yes, I know everything this girl knows now. I know how you have grown all the way to the present." Zhang Zizai, the Lord of the Rebirth Soul, smiled. When he was in control of the overall situation, he was indeed terrible. It was also him who led the first origin war and made the peak dragon race fall from the top of the mountain. But why should he let himself absorb the destruction curse completely? Wouldn't that make him stronger? If he became stronger, Zhang Yunting might even return directly. Wouldn't he be more dangerous? After killing 2 masters and a large number of gods, Zhang Zizai's power of destruction has grown more. He can easily absorb another fifth of the remaining 2/5 of the destruction curse, and even hold on for a while and absorb it completely. What is the purpose? Zhang Zizai asked. He still didn't know. He discussed it with Zhang Junjian and the others, but they had no idea either. Normal people would not let Zhang Zizai absorb the destruction curse and continue to become stronger. You can guess. But I won't give you too much time to hesitate. He forced himself out of the Zilong Tower and appeared in front of Zhang Zizai, talking to Zhang Zizai in Yanner's body. Looking at the familiar beauty in front of him, but she was completely another person, Zhang Zizai couldn't help but be angry, but facing such an old monster, Zhang Junjian and the others had no way. He couldn't let Zhang Zizai give up Yanner. Although, that might be the right move. Brother, never mind. I have made plans. After the battle, I will immediately absorb the curse of destruction for my father, so that he can come back to life and be completely free from pain. His request is no different from my original plan, Zhang Zizai said. Zhang Junjian was still frowning. He said, he must have a purpose, but we can't guess it at all. While they were discussing, the Soul Master of the Rebirth said, we lost the battle today, and I don't expect too much. You just need to do what I say. When you succeed, I will leave immediately and return this person to you. Impossible, with your means, you don't threaten us with her. Zhang Junjian didn't believe him at all. This handle was his only hope. Otherwise, he would have died long ago. Facing Zhang Junjian's words, the Soul Master of the Rebirth kept smiling and said nothing more. Zhang Zizai, do as I say. Otherwise, I will kill all your people with her body. I am not much worse than your father was back then. It is not difficult for me to exterminate your clan. After all, you will not kill me, right? A hero cannot resist the temptation of beauty. The Soul Master of the Rebirth continued to smile. Zhang Zizai just did not understand. What benefit could he get from just absorbing the curse of destruction? By then, he will be stronger. When Zhang Yunding returns, won't he have even less chance of winning? If he hadn't died, Zhang Zizai would have helped his father to be free. He himself couldn't wait. To free his father from suffering is his biggest dream. If you hesitate, I will give you 10 breaths to think about it. Whether you listen to my request or fight to the death is up to you. I have lived enough and I am not afraid of death. He spoke again, and in front of Zhang Zizai, it was like Yanner was speaking. The other party has the handle. In such a situation, it is destined to be uncomfortable and can only let the other party manipulate it. There is no way. Any person with feelings cannot be free and easy at this time and directly kill the Soul Master of the Rebirth. He looked at Yanner, his palms were shaking. If you don't want her to die, then do it. Only by going down can you have a chance to find an opportunity. Otherwise, you will always fall into the other party's plan. I believe in you, Yanner also believes in you, you have to believe in yourself. Zhang Zizai didn't expect that the one who asked him to protect Yanner's life at this time was Juxian. She didn't say anything. Zhang Zizai has always respected any of her decisions and words. In fact, she is a wise person. Go down, there is a chance. Now he is not sure whether the other party will kill Yanner. He can't take her life. Thank you, Zhang Zizai said to Juxian. Thanks for nothing, the main thing is that this matter is over. If she can survive, she is not allowed to flirt with me anymore. I will be jealous. Juxian curled her lips. In this tense moment, she made Zhang Zizai relax a little. It turns out that women have infinite power. Zhang Zizai took a deep breath and made up his mind. He said to the Soul Master of the deceased, I will do as you say. Don't play any tricks. If you really force us to a dead end, no one will have a good time. That's right, brave boy, help your father get rid of his suffering. It's been too long, and I miss him a little bit, the Soul Master of the Rebirth said with a smile. His smile was warm, and you couldn't see the ferocity in his heart. Zhang Zizai didn't say anything more. Zhang Junjian and the Soul Master were still here. If anything happened, they would notify him immediately, and he went directly into the three realms. In the three realms, the white dragon that was like a continuous mountain range was still here. It seemed to be in a deep sleep. Zhang Zizai's arrival did not wake him up. Outside, the situation was like fire and water, and the dark tide was surging. It was very calm inside. Father Zhang Zizai called softly, but he didn't respond. He should be asleep. Although he was much more relaxed now, he should be asleep most of the time. He looked at the many black mists of the destruction curse. When he absorbed the destruction curse, he should wake up without saying much, especially when the destruction curse completely left, he would definitely wake up. That was his most important moment. He came to the vicinity of the white dragon and began to absorb the destructive curses, allowing them to converge towards the power around him. This process was not difficult, and his destructive power grew again. Now his entire body had undergone some special changes. He had become an aggregate of destructive power, as if all the destructive power between heaven and earth was converging towards him. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1436. The stronger he is, the stronger his destructive power is, which is simply unstoppable, and the faster he can absorb these destructive curses. The endless curse of destruction, like a ferocious monster, crazily entered his body and merged into his destructive power. Soon, Zhang Zizai experienced a surge in power. Sure enough, the combination of destructive power and destructive curse was the real destructive power. Freedom. When the curse of destruction crazily gathered in the body and merged with the flower of destruction, he suddenly heard the call from his father. This was indeed Zhang Yunting's voice, because Juxian was standing far away, and she was the only one who followed Zhang Zizai in. Dad. Zhang Zizai calmed down a little in his frantic mood. Sure enough, after feeling the disappearance of the curse of destruction, he had begun to wake up, and he could also feel that his powerful power of integrating the law of heaven was reviving. His fusion of heaven and earth feels different from that of the deceased soul master, because one of them is the fusion of the 5 elements of heaven and the other is the fusion of the soul and heaven. The effects of the two are completely different. Overall, Zhang Yunting, who has been integrated for a long time, is indeed much more powerful than the deceased soul master. Are they all dead? Did you succeed? Zhang Yunting asked. Her luck was relatively lukewarm. There was only one soul master who was missing. I was close to success, but an accident happened, so I had doubts and wanted to ask my father to clarify my doubts, Zhang Zizai said. Please tell me specifically. Zhang Zizai described the whole process and said, I really can't figure it out. His condition is to let me come in and absorb the curse of destruction. Does father know why? Zhang Zizai asked. Now in the world, the person who knows the deceased soul master best is probably his father. Zhang Yunting groaned for a moment and said, I probably know his intention. Father, please speak. It would be much smoother if someone could clear up the confusion. What I am afraid of is that I don't know what the deceased soul master wants at all. Zhang Yunting said, before I got the flower of destruction, I actually knew that he had been studying the flower of destruction. He even began to imagine the flower of destruction a very long time ago, and even he was once far away from the flower of destruction. It's only one step away, so his understanding of the curse of destruction is no worse than mine. What does father mean? I originally thought that in your current situation, you are the flower of destruction, so absorbing all the destruction curse will be fine. However, since the reborn soul master made this request, it should mean that the destruction curse itself is not that easy to deal with. You can't see it now, but when all the curses of destruction are transferred to you, you are likely to be controlled by the curse of destruction, and even become the curse of destruction itself. By then, you may lose yourself and become a machine of destruction, just kill people. I'm the closest to you. The person you kill the fastest may be me, and then you and my relatives. If he hides and doesn't care about anything, then he can just watch you kill and destroy the whole world. Then I will eventually destroy him. Everything in the world was destroyed, and he had to die. What good could this do to him? Since he has made such a choice, he must know more about the flower of destruction. He himself is the master of the soul, and now he has become the half-ancestor who successfully integrated the way of heaven. So obviously, he may complete it here. After killing him, he takes the risk to control you, and even completely melts your heavenly soul and controls your body just like he controls your friends. Then, he may become the most powerful person in body and soul after the birth of heaven and earth. A terrifying existence. Although the world is shattered, after it is shattered, he will be the only ruler between heaven and earth. Zhang Yunding knew her very well, so he was able to explain these things clearly. Not vague at all. This was the plan of the deceased soul master, and Zhang Zizai finally knew it. He is still absorbing the curse of destruction, and now only 1/5 of the curse of destruction is left. He is now unprecedentedly powerful and more terrifying than anyone else, but Zhang Zizai can also feel where his sobriety limit is. Once he breaks through this at the limit, he may not be able to control himself. Should I stop immediately? Zhang Zizai asked. If this continues, it will definitely be as planned by the deceased soul master. No need. Unexpectedly, Zhang Yunding shook his head, and his voice was deafening, ringing in Zhang Zizai's ears. He paused and said, "Zizi, the biggest enemy in life is always yourself. Now the soul master in the past is not your enemy, the enemy is yourself. If you want to transcend the present and reach the realm I once longed for, the only way only by transcending myself. I have touched that realm. This realm is so great that you can never imagine how magnificent it is. Only the flower of destruction can make people reach that realm. I am here. You see the hope of that realm. All you have to do is not to escape, but to face it bravely, to transcend that realm and reach the eternity that no one can achieve. But this requires taking risks and paying a price." Zhang Zizai frowned. "Let me ask you, can you look at the death outside?" Zhang Yunding asked. "If possible, regardless of Long Yan's life and death, kill her directly, and then kill the deceased soul master, maybe it will be over. Even if you can, if I don't take this step, will you still have to suffer for eternity? As long as I don't let the curse of destruction disappear, you will never be able to truly escape from the suffering," Zhang Zizai asked. "That's right. No matter how much destruction curse you absorb, its source is still here with me, unless you take away the ultimate source," Zhang Yunding said. In this way, Zhang Zizai understood. Whether he gave up Long Yan's life or not and wanted his father to live, he would have to take this path sooner or later. He could have this life and a wonderful life because of the man in front of him. He had sworn long ago that he would never let him suffer the torture of the destruction curse like this again. And now he tried. He still hoped to save Yan'er. As long as I defeat myself, transcend myself, and reach the eternal realm that my father said, then all disasters and all hatred can be solved. He sorted out his thoughts. Challenge my own limits, immortality, transcend self, and pursue eternity. Am I afraid? He looked at the countless destruction curses in front of him. Yes, he saw that his biggest enemy in this life was not the four peak races, not the soul master of the rebirth, but destruction itself, the destruction curse, and himself. Zhang Yunding was right. In life, one's own biggest enemy is oneself. It turns out that the biggest villain in this life is oneself. Zhang Zizai smiled, glanced at the 9 immortals in the distance, and then made a decision. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1437. He was afraid that he would kill her, so he sent her out first. When she went to Ruohua, he told Juxian what he thought. Unexpectedly, she smiled slightly and said, "I will help you. I'm not afraid of death, Isn't it the challenge of the curse of destruction? I'm really not afraid, we will bear all the trouble together. If you let me out, it means you are afraid. Don't you even have this little confidence? Zhang Zizai, she was very afraid that Zhang Zizai would send her away, so she tried every means, and her words happened to make Zhang Zizai understand deeply. In the road ahead, faith is the most important. Destruction is very simple, but making destruction obey your own will instead of becoming a puppet of the power of destruction is the problem. Zhang Zizai took a deep breath and asked the 9 immortals to stay where they were. He hugged her for the last time, feeling each other's strength and love. Under her encouraging eyes, Zhang Zizai embarked on the path of challenge. Challenge yourself, transcend yourself, and defeat the biggest enemy in this life, that is yourself. Brave people have no fear. He began to put everything aside and frantically absorbed all the curses of destruction. Only when the curse of destruction between heaven and earth disappeared, only then will the root hidden in Zhongyunting appear, which is the core of all destructive curses. He held his breath and concentrated. While absorbing it, he thought about his life. All the brilliance and struggle, and the ability to have such a splendid life came from the man in front of him. Every word he said was so important to him. Transcend yourself, transcend everything. He longed for a realm above the gods. He had pursued it countless times, but he failed. And now Zhang Zizai carries his dreams, the hopes of all his tribe and relatives, and Yanu's life. It's a coincidence that she is Zhang Zizai's reverse scale. Everyone who has bullied her has been made to pay a heavy price by Zhang Zizai. He originally thought that after he became a god, she would no longer be hurt. Unexpectedly, because of the ancestral dragon tower, the deceased soul master chose her again. This is fate, but Zhang Zizai doesn't believe in fate. Now he just wants to get out of this situation. He just wants to shoulder these missions, shoulder the trust of his relatives and loved ones, and do this thing that ordinary people can't do. The curse of destruction in the third realm is getting rarer and rarer. He is getting stronger and stronger. Zhang Zizai has already felt that a brand new realm, a realm beyond the gods, is waving to him, but before this realm, there is a huge ravine. Or in other words, there is a huge monster. He is crawling, and he may take away everything Zhang Zizai has at any time, replace it, and destroy the world. The heart is fearless, the road is eternal. Only when you keep going will you know whether you are really not good enough. Brave people can always exceed their imagination. The remaining 1/5 of the curse of destruction was not much in itself, but when all the knowledge was absorbed, it was difficult for Zhang Zizai to bear it. He could already feel the crazy rage. Now his whole world was filled with blood. It's so sexy that he's bored with everything he sees. He has a majestic power in his body. If this power is not released, he will be even more uncomfortable than death. The terrifying curse of destruction had already broken out at this moment. Zhang Zizai was trembling all over. Every pore in his body was releasing the power of the explosion. If it was not released, it would not be possible. If all of this is destroyed, he will only become more violent, but once it is destroyed, his power will be like a snowball, getting bigger and bigger, until he can truly destroy the place of origin, the 49 divine realms, and all totem worlds. The entire universe, but all things come from the origin and disappear in destruction, so that the reincarnation of all living things comes to an end at this moment. Strong, but also scary. He has experienced it. But the most terrifying thing is yet to come. Work hard at one go, otherwise you will fall short. At this time, he glanced at Juxian. She was still so beautiful. She smiled at him. Such a gentle smile could not make people melt. But this time, Zhang Zizai did not melt. His mind was filled with thoughts of tearing this woman to pieces. Her beauty was so beautiful to Zhang Zizai now that even her smile was a provocation. Zhang Zizai did not stop, he took the last step, which was the root of the curse of destruction. Only in this way could the entire curse of destruction be completely freed. Only then could Zhang Yunting be freed from millions of years of suffering. Zhang Zizai had already risked his life for his father. He descended around his father's body. There was countless black smoke on his body, covering the white dragon's body. He had already felt the existence of the root. Under his leadership, the root of destruction was coming from Zhang Yunting came out of his body. It had been completely integrated into his body. At this time, countless ferocious symbols were gathering all over his body. In the end, they all gathered in one place and turned into a piece of black petals. In the end, the black petals broke away from Zhang Yunting's body and suddenly came to Zhang Zizai's body, gathering together with all the curses of destruction. At this time, Zhang Zizai successfully possessed everything about destruction. When the flower of destruction, when he was completely integrated with the curse of destruction, his body seemed to have become a battlefield, and it also seemed to have become a world where the real power of destruction broke out. At this time, Zhang Zizai is the real lord of destruction. At this time, he is the real terror. His every move is the destruction of all things, the dissipation of reincarnation, and he will only become stronger and stronger. The negative forces of the entire universe are converging towards his body. The tiny place of the three realms can no longer satisfy him. Jur, father. Zhang Zizai feels terrible. He has lost himself. He can only feel that he has been surrounded by endless destructive power of heaven and earth. He has no control ability. He is like a dark sun, swallowing everything. In fact, his current black has become a black Sunday. Countless sun flames are burning, and the terrifying power increases with the increase of this black sun. Surpass yourself? How to surpass yourself? Zhang Zizai can't even see where he is. There is no new world here. There are only endless disasters and his own violent will. All things are born and die, this is reincarnation. The universe also has reincarnation. The universe originated from an explosion and will eventually be destroyed by an explosion. After the explosion, a brand new universe will be born. The replacement of the universe is eternal. And you are the messenger who leads the reincarnation of heaven and earth. The heaven and earth are destroyed by you, and will eventually be created by you. You are the destruction now, and the origin in the future. Invisibly, there is a voice echoing in my ears, deafening and shocking. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1438. However, there are too many people in this world that I am attached to, and I can't let them be shattered, Zhang Zizai said while retaining the last of his sobriety. You are wrong. This is just a small emotion. In the face of the reincarnation of all things, it is not enough. You adhere to the will of reincarnation of heaven and earth. You are the supreme God. You cannot even love sentient beings. What you love is reincarnation, and what you love is heaven and earth. Replacement, love is the law of the universe. Only when the origin is destroyed can the world reach perfection. In the future, countless lives will be born, and countless people can become your relatives and lovers. Those are all insignificant, only the origin. Destruction is the real eternity. Insignificant, only the destruction of the origin is eternal. He saw that this world has endured countless births and destructions. Even if it is destroyed, there will be real rebirth in the future. The newly born life will be more perfect. It is the rebirth after destruction, absorbing the destruction. Only through subsequent experience can we find the highest path of life. You are not a sinner, you are the executor of the will of heaven and earth. Heaven and earth are old and need a nirvana rebirth. You should pick up the butcher's knife and kill this old universe so that the new heaven and earth can give birth to eternal vitality. The heaven, earth, and universe are life, and they will also grow old, sick, and die. That's it, that's it. Destruction is also a magnificent creation and a great ceremony. Without destruction, there is no new life. The old heaven, earth, and universe must die, and the new world born in the future will be full of vitality and last forever. But who is talking to me? This is no longer important. What is important is that Zhang Zizai inherited the mission of destruction. That is a great mission. He clearly realized that this was not violent or crazy at all. He was very calm, because compared to his father's private ideal, the mission of heaven and earth should be his great pursuit. He is the black sun, the burning force of destruction. He is no longer a human being. He does not need to have emotions, because compared to this great and magnificent mission of destruction, all of them are insignificant. He saw a white dragon reborn and transformed into a familiar appearance. He was finally free. He looked at himself very excitedly, but very wary. This person just used your life to save himself. You fell into his trap, but this is a good thing, because you finally inherited the mission of heaven and earth. You finally became your true self, but you don't need to be grateful. Because from the beginning to the end, you are just his experiment. If you don't succeed, you have no value in his heart. It is only important that he escapes from the curse. Now that he is finally free, he is very happy, but you are no longer Zhang Zizai, you are the messenger of destruction, and he is blocking the rebirth of the world. All those who block the rebirth of the world are sinners. Zhang Zizai understood. No wonder it was so dangerous. He actually let himself take risks and deceived himself by using a realm beyond the gods. He just wanted to use his own life to free him from suffering. This was too despicable. Maybe, he had never been. You don't think of yourself as his son. And that woman, she didn't stop you, she just wanted you to die. She has been too long, and she has seen countless men. Do you think she really loves you? No, she is just attracted by you. It's just that you conquered her with your talent and strength. It's not that she loved you. She can love any man who conquers her. In fact, love itself has no value, and all feelings are worthless, because these are just small loves. Can change at any time. If you die, she can fall in love with someone else in a few years. This is very simple. You can love her or Yanur. Love is not worth mentioning. It is only the mission of the change of heaven and earth. Is the truly great love, your love for the world, your love for all living beings. Maybe they don't understand, but it doesn't matter. As messengers of destruction, we, great people, just love them and don't care about that. Zhang Zizai finally understood. He thought it was ridiculous. With such skin, she could even kill herself in the ancient realm. What qualifications does she have? It's nothing more than the male impulse of a creature. If she is ugly, you won't love her at all. You are just attracted to the male sexual impulse of living things, and you just want to mate with her. If you are not a human being, you are just a dog, then you will also look for it. Bitch. An insignificant bitch is not enough to affect the rebirth of the universe. All emotions are insignificant, only one-sided, and deceptive. Only love for the universe is our mission. Who are you? Zhang Zizai asked. I am Zhang Zizai, and so are you. We are all. Our messengers from heaven and earth all have this name. This name will become eternal and will become the name of a new world that will be born in the future. That world is called Zizai Universe. He nodded. It's all so ridiculous. It turns out that in the end, I was actually alone, embarking on this path that no one could understand. They must not be able to figure it out, and they must resent themselves, but so what, they are all deceiving themselves, especially this so-called father, who is now trapped in the ecstasy of rebirth. Did he care about his own adventure? It turned out to be just a ridiculous experiment. Honestly, he deserves to die. If you don't kill me now, you will kill me later. If he dares to play tricks on me, he needs to pay the price. He's going to think I'm manic right now. Actually, I'm not manic at all. I'm very sober. I'm sober as never before. It's just that I'm no longer the fool who can let them deceive me. He knew that they would continue to deceive themselves and would advise themselves earnestly. That was funny. Zhang Zizai had expected what they would say. Summer insects cannot talk about ice. They don't know my mission, my will, or the reincarnation of heaven and earth. They think I am destroying, but I am just for rebirth. It doesn't matter if you are not understood. Just be yourself. This is the real you. Zhang Zizai felt that he was liberated. When he despised those boring loves and painful loves, he felt relaxed. He returned to himself and found his true self. This is the life that should belong to him, not being dragged down by love. Boring and uninteresting. He looked around. If he wanted to destroy everything, he would start from this triple world. It was a cancer attached to the big world. It looked so annoying. It was because there were too many of these cancers that the universe would be sick. He had infinite power. He began to be very calm, using his own strength to destroy this triple world. When his power exploded, everything inside was shattered, space was torn apart, time shattered, all living things died, cause and effect collapsed, life was extinguished, everything returned to nothingness, and shattered under the destruction. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1439. Be at ease. You said you should transcend yourself. You cannot be controlled and break through yourself, the man's voice echoed, and he became nervous. Shut up, I am my true self now. You don't need to say anything, I don't need to be understood, I do my mission, you can watch, but don't talk, don't understand me with family affection. I am very awake now. When Zhang Zizi spoke, he still had a faint smile. He felt that he was terribly sober, which would disappoint them. That woman also appeared in front of him. It could be seen in her eyes that she was very nervous. She didn't even expect that it would deteriorate to this extent. Zhang Zizai knew what she would say. She just wanted to use love to awaken herself and make herself obedient. He knew that she would be what kind of routine. Those soft words of love made his hair stand on end when he thought about it. What happened to your old self? Just like this, a female animal can make herself fascinated. Does that still count as having a self? He regretted that he had been deceived all his life. Damn these boring tricks. He thought of the bell, his heart moved, and then he smiled. It's a boring inheritance of life. Countless lives are born every day in this world, but this person inherited my inheritance. She is just a lucky person, but lucky people are. Can you have the privilege of standing at the top of the world since you were a child? This is the abomination and disgustingness of this world. In the newly born world, all living beings should be equal. No one can stand on the top of others from an early age. Only in this way can human beings. Everyone is happy, not some people are happy and most people are unhappy. All of this makes people feel disgusting. It is time for this disgusting world to come to an end. Go away, bitch. When the woman still wanted to speak, Zhang Zizai said this very calmly with a smile. From now on, he would never be disturbed by male impulses again. These short-sighted people, whether they are men or women, do not deserve to have any interaction with themselves. Seeing the dull look on that woman's face, Zhang Zizai found it funny. She probably already knew how humble she was, and exposing her true face made her lose face. But Zhang Zizai knew that in front of him, she would not. It's no different from a bitch. This is a fact. Don't be sad. At this time, the entire triple world was completely destroyed, and this was just the beginning. Zhang Zizai opened the door and went out. He saw the man coming out with the 9 immortals. He smiled even more. He didn't want to express his opinion on such boring things. It was meaningless. He shouldered the responsibility of the mission of creating a new world. He came outside and saw more people. Those people saw themselves, a quiet silence, and they were all afraid of themselves. He saw Long Yan. He remembered that the deceased soul master had merged with her god soul and was now lurking in her body. Hey, dead soul master, you can kill her, it doesn't matter. If you don't kill her anyway, I will have to do it myself after a while, Zhang Zizai said. His words seemed to be talking about family matters. The deceased soul master seems to be frightened by himself. This person wants to take over his body and change his destiny from now on. He is really ridiculous. He is ignorant. He has no idea how powerful he is now. Horrible. There were too many ignorant mortals like him. Zhang Zizai looked at the peak of Shenlong Mountain. He really had a headache. How could he give birth to so many people? They occupied too many resources in the universe. Too many lives was a disgusting problem. It really gave him a headache. To destroy the world, we'd better start by wiping out these sentient beings. They are all like ants. It's so disgusting. How can they give birth to so many without any knowledge? What are you doing with your life? It's a waste of resources. The universe is so tired now. All caused by these ant-like beings. Zhang Zizai was a little angry, but it didn't matter, because erasing life was the first step to destroying the world. It was very simple. He only needed to expand, and then use endless destructive power to destroy the peak Holy Dragon Mountain. Children, you should not be born in this era. The world is about to die. When the world is reborn, the life born at that time will be happy. You have no intention, but your existence has accelerated the death of the universe. In this case, I can only bury you with the universe. Please forgive me. Great missions require sinners. I can only be the sinner. I love this world, but I must let it be reborn before we can have it. The future. Your sacrifice is great. Zhang Zizai couldn't tell whether it was great or disgusting. Anyway, life was disgusting, but the sacrifice was great. They made a fatal contribution to the birth of the new world. Very good. Really good. Death is brilliant. Zhang Zizai smiled. From this moment on, his death power began to spread to the peak of Shenlong Mountain. In the first moment, the people at the front were affected by his destructive power. In an instant, it seemed that 10 million sentient beings were turned into powder. The powder condensed and became Zhang Zizai's destructive power. He became stronger, terrifyingly strong. He could see the different expressions on each of these tens of millions of sentient beings when they died. They didn't even react. They suddenly lost their lives. Zhang Zizai mourned for them. He couldn't help but shed tears. In fact, life is also very innocent. They did not come to this world on their own initiative, but there is no way. The new life of the world requires their sacrifice. You are all great people, just like me. Zhang Zizai said sadly. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. They died great, died gloriously. Zhang Zizai began the road of destruction. Since it started, there should not be an end, otherwise the 10 million peak dragons would have died in vain. That would be a pity. When he continued, a group of people blocked him. They looked at Zhang Zizai with fear, grief, and trembling, including the man who came out. He seemed stunned. He was extremely regretful and looked at Zhang Zizai with trembling. Zhang Zizai remembered that this guy who was now grief-stricken and in pain was his father Zhang Yunting. I am a sinner. I underestimated the horror of the flower of destruction, he said to the people around him tremblingly. Zhang Zizai knew the people around him. A woman was Ruohua who gave birth to him. Who else was there? Juxian was there, yes, and his brother Zhang Junjian, the one who arranged his life and used him like a puppet. Actually, you should be a hero. You have also contributed to the birth of the new world and the destruction of the old world. You don't need to be sad. If you love me, you will be happy that I have become the messenger of destroying the world and creating the new world, right? My father. I know that you will not understand me if I say this. You cannot touch my realm, and you cannot feel the sadness of the universe. It is too painful. Only when it is reborn in nirvana can we have a new world. Otherwise, sooner or later, the world will be destroyed, but no one will come to give it a new life. Zhang Zizai stopped killing and said very calmly with a smile. That's right, he turned into a human form and stood in front of them. He was no different from usual. He was not violent at all. He was very gentle, very calm, and smiled at his relatives and friends. But they still looked at themselves in fear. It's so uncomfortable. There is no one who can understand me between heaven and earth. Zhang Zizai burst into tears. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1440. Chapter 1435 Finale, comments after the book, 20,000 words. Any grand mission must require sacrifice. Only when everyone sacrifices together can the future world be created for thousands of years. Life is precious. Maybe no one wants to give up, but please think carefully. The destruction of an era can be exchanged for the eternity of countless eras. Zhang Zizai has killed 10 million people. This is just the beginning of his life, a small attempt. But now, it seems that a group of people are using their lives to stop him. Zhang Zizai knows who they are. They are all his closest people, and they are also the ones he intends to send them off in the end. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow diamondsuit. His parents, brother, wife, daughter, and all his relatives are here. Zhang Zizai still longs for them to understand, so he tells them almost earnestly. They still had dull faces. Zhang Zizai sighed. Judging from their completely incomprehensible expressions, they were no longer on the same level as him. This was sad. He thought that even if he sent this world to an end, they would understand. In that case, I can only let you watch and destroy this dilapidated world together. Zhang Zizai felt that he was not ruthless. He just finally understood what true affection and righteousness were. When he raised his hand, the endless space collapsed in front of him. This time he did not kill anyone, but he made the origin of the land, the large area near the peak of the Holy Dragon Mountain, all destroyed in the destructive power and became part of the destructive power. The power of destruction spread like a poison, which was completely irresistible. Everything in the world was shattered at the touch of this power. After destroying a large area of territory, Zhang Zizai became stronger. He had a premonition that after destroying this world, killing all living things, and destroying all the ways of heaven, his destructive power would be as strong as the peak. At that time, he would be able to create a world, because all the ways of heaven had become the nutrients that nourished destruction, and were still hidden in the power of destruction. He was not a person now, he was a collection of destructive power. The world was destroyed, and his power was trembling again. This is just a little display. For destruction, we still have to start from the totem world, which is relatively simple. After destroying these worlds that are as fragile as paper, it will be the turn of the small divine domain, then the 49 divine domains, and finally the place of origin, so don't worry, when I destroy here, you still have some time to survive, Zhang Zizai said lightly. No one dared to attack him, because he was no longer a god, and even the power of a half-ancestor could only tickle him. They all underestimated destruction, not knowing that the key to the destruction of the world was hidden in the flower of destruction. The world originated from the origin flower. The flower of destruction, which seems to be only a part of it, is the dark side of the origin flower. The flower will bloom and will eventually wither. Now is the time when the universe withers. Qingyang realm, this is where everything started. I saw the great Zhongqing city, the Tianlong holy dynasty, the origin divine sect, and Fu Hai. He saw them. The girl is called Feng Xiaoxiao, and she still misses me now. Interesting. Zhang Zizai saw her. He admitted that he had some feelings, but he did not show mercy, because the feelings of mortals are meaningless. He stretched out his hand and grabbed this Qingyang realm, a place with deep memories. He directly twisted it. The destruction of the world was very dazzling, and it looked like fireworks blooming. Zhang Zizai also specially let the people around him and himself watch it. It was indeed very beautiful. In the face of the destruction of the world, ordinary people have no power to resist at all. Their lives came to an abrupt end when the fireworks bloomed. Everyone's expression was frozen in the first moment. Then, they died. Including Feng Xiaoxiao, she lay quietly in bed. Could she have dreamed of herself? The wonderful thing is that she ended in a dream. Zhang Zizai faced the crowd and asked them, "Isn't the destruction of the world very beautiful?" He showed it to them specifically, wanting them to understand him, but what made him feel sorry was that the destruction of these sentient beings could only make them suffer. They watched all this with tears in their eyes, and their tears made Zhang Zizai feel boring. Showing these to them, they couldn't understand it at all, so what's the point? Fortunately, I still do my own thing, and don't have to pay attention to them at all. After all, when I killed them in the end, they certainly didn't understand it. He began to destroy the second totem world. There were so many totem worlds derived over the years, countless, and I didn't know how many there were. It was still quite laborious to destroy them one by one, but that was because Zhang Zizai's current destructive power was not strong enough. When he destroyed more totem worlds, he might be able to destroy 10 at a time, then 100, then 1,000, and 10,000. In this way, sentient beings are just symbols. Is there any meaning for those mortals who have a short lifespan of less than 100 years? This world is too cruel. Some beings can live forever, while others are like mayflies, born in the morning and dead in the evening. It is so unfair. A truly perfect world should be one where everyone has the same lifespan and the same life. He was still continuing, his face was expressionless, but at this moment, someone suddenly came in front of him. She walked towards him without hesitation. There were other people with her. She was the 9 Immortals, and she was holding the one in her arms. It was Abel, and then his father, mother, brothers, and all his relatives came. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Do you want to stop me? Zhang Zizai asked. His tone was very calm, but to be honest, he was already a little unhappy. No, we want to help you. Juxian's eyes were red, but she tried her best to soften her tone. She smiled gently at Zhang Zizai at this moment, as if she was no longer afraid of him. Could this change mean that is it because she finally understands herself? This made Zhang Zizai's depressed mood slightly relieved. Although the other party was essentially no different from a bitch, after all, she once fell in love with him vigorously. After this experience in life, if she could understand him, then it would at least be a gain. Daddy, the child in her arms, looked at her timidly, with some fear in her eyes, but to be honest, she was still a little cute like this, with her chubby face and big, dark eyes. It's very shiny and has some teardrops on it, which makes it even prettier. Zhang Zizai didn't quite know why he suddenly felt better, but when he saw this child, even though he felt that she was just born and didn't deserve such good conditions, the way she looked at him with such nostalgia still reminded Zhang Zizai. When he once missed her, he suddenly felt that human feelings are actually quite beautiful, but it is a pity that the common people are righteous and the world reincarnates, so he must sacrifice his life for righteousness. Go and play aside. Daddy has serious things to do. Zhang Zizai waved his hand and smiled slightly. He felt that he must kill this cute child last. There is plenty of time, don't be so anxious, we can chat. In fact, I thought a lot, and I suddenly understand you. What you did is right. Juxian's voice was slightly trembling, and she held the child close to her. Although she was afraid of herself, she was actually afraid of herself, and she was afraid of death, but what she said made Zhang Zizai feel much more comfortable. She was quite brave, which made Zhang Zizai appreciate her a little, and she was finally more pleasing to the eye. Behind her, those relatives suddenly relaxed, such as her father. He pondered for a moment and said, "She is right. In fact, we can all understand you. The mission you inherited is beyond our imagination. If you don't, you do need to make choices in life. You did the right thing, and the sacrifice in your heart must be the biggest." Hearing such words, Zhang Zizai couldn't help but have the urge to burst into tears. They could finally understand him. In this way, he no longer felt guilty. Only then did Zhang Zizai recall many details. Thinking of all the moments between himself and the 9 immortals, he suddenly felt that love is actually not that boring. There are always some touching things between each other. Now that he thinks about it, those beautiful things are actually not bad. They were truly the best relatives in the world, and he did something so incomprehensible that they could understand him. "Lingdang, tell me." Juxian kissed the daughter in his arms. "Daddy, Lingdang loves you." The little girl pouted and looked at Zhang Zizai with dreamy eyes. There was some infinite emotion in her eyes, which was her dependence on herself. Zhang Zizai suddenly trembled. Looking at this cute little thing, even though he still felt that she was not worthy of having such good conditions when she was born, he still couldn't help but want to love her. Maybe this was a contradiction. He didn't expect that there will be such contradictions in the body. "Daddy has to do something very important, don't blame me," Zhang Zizai said softly. "I know that Lingdang's life was given by his father and mother. He can take it back if he wants. After Lingdang dies, he will miss his father. He is a great man and a fighter. He has never let him down. My relatives have never let down all living beings. He is the best person in the world and the greatest in my heart." Lingdang shed tears as she spoke. She is no longer young and she can already figure out many things. Oh, Zhang Zizai trembled again. He had a headache. He didn't expect that she admired him so much, and that such a young girl could understand him like this. It was really uncomfortable for him, because he would kill her later, so he had to do it. Disaster. So difficult. When he thought about killing her, he felt very uncomfortable. He began to suffer. Why should he inherit such a great mission? If he could, he would choose death directly. "Can I hug you?" the woman suddenly said. She knew she was feeling uncomfortable, so she felt uncomfortable too. After she said those words, she came to Zhang Zizai's eyes and put the bell in Zhang Zizai's hand. Then she stretched out her hand to hold them. She leaned her face on Zhang Zizai's right chest, while Lingdang's head was on his left chest. He was holding 2 extremely important people in his life. They both raised their heads, those tearful eyes looked at Zhang Zizai, and she hugged him so hard, as if she was worried about leaving her arms. Her embrace was very soft and warm. Zhang Zizai was so familiar with it. Every time he lay in her arms and smelled the fragrance, it was simply the most beautiful enjoyment in life. "Are you saying that this world is in a terrible mess? It is sick and needs to be destroyed before it can be reborn and establish new rules? Only in this way can it survive for generations to come, right?" 9 immortals asked. "Yes. You are right." Zhang Zizai breathed a sigh of relief. She finally understood and understood herself. She felt less uncomfortable when she felt like she could be understood. She originally thought that if she achieved a great cause, everyone would stand by her. I didn't expect it to be the opposite of myself. She could understand such a mission, but he looked at her in this way, which made Zhang Zizai feel a little ashamed. He thought about every bit of the past, and remembered that she had helped him in the beginning. He thought he could get out of Daejeon City. There are countless details, and their lives have long been tied together. This chapter is not finished yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Then it must be hard for you, but it doesn't matter. We can all die. We are willing to fulfill your mission. You must not show mercy to us. We don't want to become sinners in history. But no matter how many years have passed, you must remember that there is a wife who is willing to sacrifice for your mission. She has no regrets, and your daughter, although she is still young and knows nothing, she will never forget that she has a father who loves her. It was your love that made her willing to die for you, and your parents, they didn't say anything, but did you see that if your mission also required their sacrifice, they would never say anything more? Juxian hugged himself hard and said these words to himself with tears in his eyes. I don't know why, but every word hurt his heart, making him tremble and feel uncomfortable. But the reality shouldn't be like this. I know, I will remember you, I will remember you, I will remember the bell, I will remember my parents, my brother, my relatives. Zhang Zizai found that he felt uncomfortable even talking. The embrace was so forceful that he couldn't help but reach out and hug this poor woman. She was so great, and he didn't expect that her love had no conflict with him at all. How about you kill me first? If you do this, you will feel better. Little villain, it doesn't matter. I am willing to die for you. It doesn't matter at all. It was you who saved my sex life, I live for you in this life. If you kill me first, I will not be afraid. I will not be angry. I want to die before this world. I don't want to stay behind. Zhang Zizai, kill me. She suddenly became excited. She held her shoulders and told herself very hard. Zhang Zizai stretched out his hand. He could kill her easily now. Under her ardent request, Zhang Zizai had no choice but to take action. This was the beginning. Let her sacrifice for this great mission first. He shouldn't be able to do it later. It must be so uncomfortable. I will remember you. Don't be afraid. Death is just a game. It will be over in a moment. You will have nothing in the future. There will never be reincarnation again. You think that is the end, but in fact it is liberation, because life is a journey on the sea of suffering, and after death, it is equivalent to landing, Zhang Zizai said very affectionately. Okay. Kill me. Juxian closed his eyes, and 2 lines of hot tears fell down. Dad, please, please. The child held her neck, with tears on her face, and said, don't kill your mother first, just let Lingdang die. Lingdang is not afraid of death. Lingdang just wants everyone to live well. We are happy, we don't need to be like this. The child is too young. She doesn't understand anything. Don't listen to her. Juxian opened her eyes. Although there were tears on her face, she still smiled. Well. How easy it is to kill a god. Zhang Zizai's hand pinched her smooth neck. With just one twist, she died. The name Jur was completely over. But why are my hands shaking? I love you. The woman who was pinched by him had hot tears streaming down her face. She looked at herself tenderly, as if she were looking at a child. She allowed herself to make all her mistakes. Zhang Zizai felt a little fuzzy. His heart was trembling and he couldn't hear clearly what she was saying. I love you, she repeated, and then said, thank you for letting me know what love is. In my previous life, I was just a sad person. I didn't understand this. Now I understand. Please send me away. I want to go home, I want to go back to my Earth. I miss my mother. She must have had a hard time alone after I left. I miss her. Earth, Earth. By the way, she comes from another world, the world called Earth. Was that world ever destroyed and reborn? Kill me, Seeing Zhang Zizai hesitate, she suddenly became excited and held Zhang Zizai's hand. Behind her, all her relatives were trembling at her madness. What kind of courage did she have to stand in this place and say such words to Zhang Zizai now? Kill me, kill me. Kill. 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 Zhang Zizai roared crazily in his heart, this is a great mission, this is his destiny, he shoulders the mission of rebirth of the world, this mission must destroy everything, except himself, everything in the old world can no longer exist, kill the one you love the most is a perfect start. But why are my hands shaking? Why tremble? Isn't it easy to kill her? Headache. The pain in his head was unbearable. It hurt so much. It hurt so much. What on earth is causing me so much pain? Is it love? How can love be such a sharp weapon? However, if it is not sharp, how can it pierce the darkness? Taigzu cosmic soul refining technique, was a unique skill given to him by his father. Zhang Zizai knew that only in this way could he relieve his pain. He remembered that every time he relieved his pain, he used this method. Who is speaking? He said, the deceased soul master is not your biggest enemy. Your biggest enemy is the curse of destruction, the flower of destruction. It is the most terrifying devil in the world, because it is the key to the destruction of the world and the symbol of the end. Only when the world ends can the flower of destruction replace the divine flower of origin. Grew to the extreme and became a blooming magic flower in the original space. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. You have been deceived. There will be no new world at all. The old world never gets sick. The perfect world has no end. It just has no real master yet. What is this voice saying? Zhang Zizai used Taigzu universe soul refining technique to relieve the pain. He did this every time, but when he came to Taigzu universe, he suddenly saw a man standing on the millstone. He was wearing red and black clothes, he looked so tall and arrogant. What kind of power can he have such power? This is not a power that humans can possess. Only the flower of destruction can have this level of power. Zhang Zizai was confused. I open up a world and let you see it for what it really is. The man said to himself. At this moment, it was like a bolt from the blue. He suddenly remembered many things, the curse of destruction, the flower of destruction, and the 9 immortals who risked death to get themselves to this point. She was an incredible person. As a woman, he was heartbroken when he thought that he had destroyed so many totem worlds and killed tens of millions of peak dragons. How so? Before he had time to regret or tremble, he was standing on a ship. It was a shabby wooden ship that could break at any time. In front of him was the grey sea, endless, with no end in sight. Zhang Zizai knew somehow that this was the original space. So what exactly is this ship? He understood that the center of the ship was the place of origin, surrounded by the 49 divine realms, and countless totem worlds surrounding it. This ship was the entire universe. Heaven, earth, and the universe move forward within this original space. What does this mean? What exactly is this place? Zhang Zizai suddenly realized that he seemed to have returned to the time before he was 15 years old, when he had no awakening totem at all. At that time, he was a complete mortal with no ability at all and could only catch a few pheasants. He still remembered that it was the voice that sent him here. That man stands on the millstone of heaven and earth. He is so strange. Who is he? Why would I lose all my strength and stand on this ship? And why, even though this is clearly a ship, he can see that this is the universe that contains the place of origin. There are too many doubts and no time to think. But Zhang Zizai knew clearly that he had destroyed several totem worlds, killed 10 million peak dragons, and had committed a heinous crime. This is something I will never be able to forgive myself for in my entire life. He was wide awake. He almost killed the 9 immortals. Fortunately, he got confused in the end and did not break her neck, otherwise, his current mood would only be even more miserable. At this moment, his life is really too chaotic. Everything he just showed, the so-called great mission and destiny, is that really him? Zhang Zizai was stunned. His heart was too chaotic. He felt that his escape was definitely due to the 9 immortals. She was very smart and did the opposite. She did not fail to understand him, but on the basis of understanding, she truly allowed herself to pity him. They remind me of love. He had no time to think about such things. Because something new has appeared on this ship. That's a plant. This plant is completely black, with black roots and leaves. The most important thing is that there is a black flower growing on the top. The black flower was so delicate and beautiful, and now it was blooming very brightly. Zhang Zizai took a look and found that this black flower was extremely familiar. It was something in his body. He would never mistake it. A plant, this black flower is the flower of destruction. A ship is the universe, and a plant is rooted in the ship. The rhizome of the black flower can be seen to have penetrated the entire ship, tightly entwining the ship. Its rhizome is absorbing everything about this ship, that is, everything in the heaven, earth, and universe, and then it is driving extremely enchantingly. It can be clearly seen that this ship has begun to decay and collapse. After absorbing everything from this ship, the black flowers are even more delicate and beautiful. This black flower is like a vampire, destroying the ship. The ship is absorbed into an empty shell. If it becomes an empty shell, then the whole world will really be destroyed. After seeing such a scene, Zhang Zizai suddenly remembered what that person said. He said he was deceived. There is no new world at all. After the destruction of the world, only the flower of destruction has grown unprecedentedly. It will become extremely powerful and replace the world. Only by destroying the world, the flower of destruction can replace the divine flower of origin, replace the entire world, and become a magic flower within the entire original space. It became a magic flower, and the magic flower is not a new world. There will be no new world at all. All destruction is destruction. Zhang Zizai helped it destroy everything. In the end, even Zhang Zizai himself will become the nutrient of this flower, for sacrifice to the magic flower. He was stunned. This is the real truth. Therefore, the world is not sick at all. The world is sick because the flower of destruction was born, and it absorbed the foundation of the world. It will make the heaven, earth, and universe wither. It is what causes the heaven, earth, and universe to become sick. It has to work harder and let Zhang Zizai help it completely destroy all of this. In this case, it can more easily turn the entire world into its own nutrients. It can surpass its limits and grow to the extreme. The truth is that there has never been any bullshit mission, there has never been destruction or creation, there is only destruction. The so-called great mission, all the sacrifices in the world, are all for the rise of a real devil. But now, on this ship, Zhang Zizai finally saw the devil's true face clearly. It turns out that the devil has always been in his heart. The dead soul master is nothing. The guy in front of him is the most terrifying existence since the birth of the world. It is not a part of the god of origin flower. The seventh petal is the enemy of the god of origin flower. It is the parasite of the divine flower of origin. It absorbs nutrients from the heaven, earth, and universe, nourishes itself, feeds on the way of heaven, and feeds on all life. It seemed that it had never appeared before. It was hidden in Zhang Zizai's body. Only when he came here did Zhang Zizai see his true face. The truth finally came out. The flower of destruction and the curse of destruction reunited. With the help of Zhang Zizai, it took control of Zhang Zizai and deceived him into embarking on the path of destruction. It never expected that a smart woman with a little girl would just save Zhang Zizai from the abyss. Otherwise, Zhang Zizai would never have a chance. He understands. Under the control of the flower of destruction, mistakes had been made. However, now that I am here, can I watch helplessly as this flower of destruction continues to destroy the entire world? Zhang Zizai's eyes turned red. The people he loves and the people he wants to protect are all on this ship. The destruction of a single plank is the destruction of a world. It is the destruction of countless sentient beings. This is one of my supreme rules, a rule that can be walked in the original space, called one flower, one world. The world is this ship. You and this flower, return to the most primitive era, with the most primitive confrontation of forces. This is my power of rules. I once defeated a fierce tiger on another ship with my bare hands, so it's up to you, young man. That voice rang in my ears again. This is your world. I can't interfere, and I can't save your world. If you fail, then your world and universe will become this magic flower. All the people here are the nourishment of this flower. It is very similar to the tiger I defeated. Your fate depends only on you. He said something again, which made Zhang Zizai enlightened. He knew that this person was helping him. With his strength, he had no way to defeat the flower of destruction, but this person could give him a way. This flower could make the world, is the supreme rule that allows you to see the original space and see the true face of the flower of destruction. That is definitely the power above heaven. That, perhaps, is the highest realm Zhang Yunting pursues. Senior, who are you? Zhang Zizai asked tremblingly. Me? I am the master of Zilong Pagoda. In addition, I am also someone who wants to beat you up. If you can survive. His voice with a smile echoed in Zhang Zizai's ears, then completely disappeared. Sure enough, it was the owner of Zilong Tower. The origin of Zilong Tower is finally clear. Of course Zhang Zizai knew that since the Earth exists, there must be other worlds in this original space. All worlds are ships on the vast sea of this original space. This sound must come from another ship. The truth is revealed. He understands everything. He has committed a crime. He is sorry for the world, sorry for the common people, and sorry for the Peak Dragon clan. However, he at least still had a chance to fight desperately. The voice said that as long as he killed this flower, he could resolve this unprecedented crisis. Compared with this flower, what is the deceased soul master? The real devil is in your own heart. Zhang Zizai stared at this flower, and this black flower also stared at him. The black flower had no eyes, but Zhang Zizai did feel like he was being stared at. Then, he saw 10 vines with poisonous stings appearing among the branches and leaves of the black flower. They were like human arms and began to move, as if dancing crazily, and this flower of destruction looked at himself contemptuously, and suddenly, Zhang Zizai heard his voice. He can't save you. This person exists. His world is in the original space of too long ago. He can remind you, but he can't come here, Zhang Zizai. Sure enough, it spoke. It is not just a flower, it is also a life. A life that has existed in Zhang Zizai's totem for a long time. I am afraid that Zhang Yunting and the soul master of the past life have never thought of this. Awesome. Zhang Zizai took a deep breath and looked at it. Are you talking about me? The flower of destruction smiled slightly and said, this is destined. Since I was born, I have been a life higher than the origin flower. It differentiated and evolved, creating the world and the universe, just to provide me with nutrients. The two of us created each other. I helped it create the world, and it helped me transform with the world. It has nothing to do with you tiny parasites. Are you talking nonsense? Zhang Zizai didn't believe it. In the end, the origin flower is my elder brother. What's the point? You just can't touch it. We complement each other and achieve each other. For each other, it is just a perfect process. I lend him power to create, and he finally returns the power to me. For us, this is a very ordinary thing. Only you boring parasites define good and evil for this matter. How boring. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. It couldn't help laughing. Let me ask you, you planted a tree, when the fruit was ripe, you picked the fruit, and when you washed the fruit, you pinched the ants crawling on the fruit to death. Those ants and insects came to enjoy the fruits of your labor, right? If you finally eat this fruit, are you a sin? It said, waving the vines. By the same token, the universe is my fruit. Now I just wash off the ants and insects on it, and then eat the fruit I planted to solve my food and clothing problems. May I ask, am I wrong? Its tone was calm and plain, and it asked Zhang Zizai easily. In fact, it is true. Only the ignorant ants on the fruit will think that I am rebellious and that I am harming the common people. However, these poor little things do not know that if I had not planted this fruit, they would not exist at all, let alone survive and reproduce. I created them so that they can eat the flesh and become strong. It makes sense. In his words, all the common people are parasites in the fruit he planted. Without this fruit, no parasites will survive. However, if he chooses to take the fruit, kill the insects, and enjoy the fruit, it is indeed not a sin. It cannot be described as a devil. Zhang Zizai, do you think I am wrong? It asked Zhang Zizai in a showy manner. Does the origin flower still have wool? Zhang Zizai suddenly asked. No, the price of creating the world is to become the world, and there is no will anymore, the flower of destruction said. Then there is no evidence. Who knows if you are lying to me? Who knows where you are from? Maybe you are the parasite and we are the original owner, Zhang Zizai said. Your angle is quite imaginative. Also, why do you talk so much to me? Zhang Zizai asked. Haha. He laughed, as the villain in your eyes, in order to enrich the script of your legendary experience, I didn't say a few more words and killed you directly. Wouldn't it be a sudden end of the climax? This does not conform to the rules of drama. I think you are afraid of me, you are delaying time. So that you can absorb more nutrients and make you stronger. Because, you know nothing about this supreme rule, Zhang Zizai said. Ignorance is also a kind of laugh, and you have a lot of laughs, the flower of destruction said. Really? When I crush your dog head, you won't say that. The original power? That existence, he killed a tiger on the boat, he was very fierce. As a man of integrity, it is not easy to kill a flower. Zhang Zizai can't do anything else now, but he thinks it's not that difficult to pull up this flower. He went towards the flower. The place where the flower took root was the most stable position of the ship, the place of origin. I just feel sad. The black flower drooped down, and his voice became regretful. I am not wrong. Why can't I pick the fruit I planted? I spent countless energy and paid so much for this fruit. Why can't I take what belongs to me? It's really sad. What is the real moral concept in the original space? The flower of destruction said with regret and pain. Why do you think so much? For me, the truth is very simple. How simple? You don't need to care about good and evil. For the two of us, if you want to kill me, kill my relatives, and destroy my home, I will kill you. It's that simple. Who cares who planted this world? You are almost dead, should I still support your rights? Zhang Zizai said speechlessly. It makes sense. You solved my doubts. It suddenly laughed. Then what? Without doubts, I am stronger. You can't understand it. It continued to laugh. Get lost. Your ass, Zhang Zizai couldn't help it. He rushed up directly. He had no weapons in his hands. Everything about martial arts disappeared. He could only rush up and tear the flower apart. You are a flower, I picked you, Zhang Zizai said. You are wrong. I am a flower, but you are just a speck of dust. You are not even a parasite or an ant. The voice of the flower of destruction was filled with a smile. When Zhang Zizai rushed up, at that moment, 10 of his vines suddenly stabbed out at a speed that Zhang Zizai could not dodge at this moment. In an instant, the barbed vines penetrated his body in an instant. Poof! The sound was quite crisp. This pain is actually refreshing. When I lowered my head and looked at it, my heart felt cold and ice cold. The blood stained the vines and the ship red. This is unscientific. Isn't your flower more terrifying than other people's tigers? Zhang Zizai was stunned. Before he could move, 10 vines passed through his body and nailed him to the boat. Then they entangled him back and forth and tied him to death. He completely turned into a rice dumpling. It was difficult to even move. What a slap in the face. Even a tiger can at least deal with it. This flower is so terrifying that it can't move at all. It's like a hornet's nest now. It's a miracle that he's not dead yet. His internal organs have been penetrated, and blood is flowing out without mercy. Everything in front of him began to become blurred, only the flower of destruction was still looking at him indifferently. In front of him, he was really insignificant. You just said so much, weren't you delaying time? Zhang Zizai asked. No, it's because I'm reluctant to kill you. You are my child, destruction flower said. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. I am your father, Zhang Zizai said depressedly. Happy. In fact, it was joy in suffering. At this time, real life was disappearing. He could clearly feel that he would not live long at all. He was killed by the flower of destruction. The other party had complete control over him and looked at him condescendingly. It has no eyes, and it has no emotions at the moment, maybe a little, but it can't stop it from killing Zhang Zizai. This is its only obstacle. It is a bit regretful, but in such an important matter, it is now trapped in the supreme level. Among the rules, it will not give you a chance to breathe. After you die, I will remember you. A mote of dust remembered by me is the greatest honor of your life, it said. What level of glory would that be if I killed you? Zhang Zizai said with a smile, his mouth full of blood. Oh, that's a dream level. You're quite humorous, Zhang Zizai said, and it's quite delicious. He is dead. No hope, no future. He dared to do anything. For example, the vine in front of him looked fresh and delicious. He couldn't help but open his mouth and took a bite. After tearing it into pieces, he bit out the juice. He opened his mouth and it was very delicious. The black juice spread all over his body in an instant, and a huge change occurred in that instant. Zhang Zizai suddenly discovered that his body had extremely majestic vitality. It was a terrifying vitality that could kill even half-dead people. He returned to a state of vitality and vitality. This feeling was so good. Even though there were still many vines stuck on his body, as long as these vines were pulled out, the wounds would heal immediately. Zhang Zizai was startled. The other party was also startled. The next moment, Zhang Zizai went crazy. He grabbed a vine in front of him and bit into it. He swallowed the dates in one gulp. It was like eating a watermelon. He opened his mouth and took a big, swishing mouthful. He ate it all in a short time. Clean, and then endless power ran into his body crazily. This is all the nutrients of the flower of destruction. Zhang Zizai laughed. After he became stronger, he pulled out the vines from his body like crazy and ate them without saying a word. Zhang Zizai, the flower of destruction, roared and pulled back all the vines. It could be seen that it was trembling slightly. The parts of it that were eaten by Zhang Zizai could no longer be recovered. And now Zhang Zizai's hand, he also took a piece of it and twisted off the vine, then ate it directly without any juice flowing down. Why are you so fierce? Are you scared? Zhang Zizai looked at it with a smile. The flower of destruction said in a serious voice, I wanted to save your life, but don't force me. Don't force me. Your threats are so weak, you can't scare me anymore, Little flower Zhang Zizai walked towards it step by step. You are wrong, so wrong, flower of destruction. If you are trapped here, you are doomed. Do you know why? Zhang Zizai smiled and approached it. Flower of destruction did not answer. Zhang Zizai said one word at a time, that's because you are a plant and I am an animal. We animals are born to eat plants like yours. No matter how big your flower is, this little bug, will kill you sooner or later. Eat clean, and you are so nutritious. If you take one bite, I can become stronger, and if you take one bite, I can live longer. In the level of life, even if you can move, you are still lower than me. The higher it is. Shut up, said the flower of destruction. I heard it, and there was fear in its voice. If it were an ordinary plant, Zhang Zizai wouldn't be like this if he ate it, but it was a flower of destruction, and Zhang Zizai would almost survive after taking a bite. The stronger it is, the more dangerous it is. There are 2 chapters in the finale, and each chapter has the usual word count of 4 chapters. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1441. I can't close my mouth, Zhang Zizai grinned. This time, he walked briskly and appeared in front of the flower of destruction. The vines of the flower of destruction pierced his body again and pierced his internal organs. Is it useful? Zhang Zizai pinched one of them and ate it directly. He ate it hard. The pierced internal organs recovered instantly and became stronger. He squeezed the vines out directly. He ate it crazily. No matter what kind of thing it was, he pulled it up by the roots and kneaded it into a ball. Every time he ate a little, he could be stronger. It's useless, the flower of destruction suddenly said sadly. You admit defeat now, you coward, Zhang Zizai said. I lost, and I didn't lose, the flower of destruction said. What the hell do you mean? Zhang Zizai asked while eating. Anyway, no matter what the other party said, he would not stop for a moment. What kind of leaves, roots, stems, and paper notes, he ate them all together. No matter what kind of thing it was. You are my child, you have inherited my power, and one day, you will also eat up this universe and become a new universe, he said. That's easy, I can choose to let all the people survive, just give them a better house, isn't it okay? Zhang Zizai said. What's the point of these dust particles? You can do this, but it's boring, the flower of destruction said. So the conflict between you and me is that you don't care about our world at all. If you change the world and let us all survive, you are not that hateful, but you want to kill us all. Of course I will kill you at all costs, Zhang Zizai said. Oh, I understand now. So I died of such boredom, the flower of destruction said sadly. So if you can choose again, what will you do? I still want to kill them. There can't be any dust particles, no parasites, and no ants on my body. It became a magic flower, which is actually a whole world. Because it destroyed the ship and created a new world. Unfortunately, its new world does not allow life to exist. Go to hell, you misophobic, Zhang Zizai finally figured it out. This guy died because of misophobia, which is really annoying. In the end, there was only a black flower left. Leave your last words, Zhang Zizai said. Don't you feel disgusted to let dust and parasites grow in your body? I think the origin god flower is disgusting, the flower of destruction said. Go away. Too noble. Damn it. Eat it. It's all over. Zhang Zizai completely uprooted this plant and ate it all. But the moment he ate it all, he transformed. He touched a new realm and a new world. His body was changing. He returned to everything and then merged into this dilapidated wooden boat. So, the wooden boat began to rejuvenate and continued to travel in this endless original space. This is a brand new wooden boat, and it is also the original wooden boat. It's just that everything that was broken was repaired again, allowing Zhang Zizai's power to be completely restored. It's over. Zhang Zizai felt it. Now, my body is the universe, the heaven and earth, and all the heavenly ways. This is the realm above the gods. Becoming the universe, the heaven and earth, and becoming the true master of this world, my body is headed by the land of origin, and all the parts of the body are composed of the 49 divine domains, and then the totem world enriches the details of my body. The end of cultivation is to become the heaven and earth itself, and then all living beings draw power from their own bodies to cultivate, and borrow the heavenly ways from here, including his father. There are so many people who want to ask for it themselves, no wonder the flower of destruction says it's disgusting. However, Zhang Zizai got everything he has today from asking for it. Life is so wonderful, but the flower of destruction can't understand it. It only thinks that all this is so disgusting. But shouldn't this be wonderful? For example, among these trillions of living beings, every beauty has her story. They are all unique and interesting. Zhang Zizai can watch every beauty take a bath. How wonderful it is! Of course, the premise is that the 9 immortals can't know. The Lord of the world and the dust on his body became husband and wife. The flower of destruction could not understand, but Zhang Zizai could. He is now the Lord of the world, but he is also immortal. The 7 emotions and 6 desires of mortals, relatives, friends, and brothers, these are the most wonderful things in the world. If a person travels alone in this endless original space, loneliness is the biggest killer. As the Lord of the world, Zhang Zizai penetrates the world. His divine thoughts can travel through countless totem worlds in an instant, and travel through any corner of any totem world. He can appear in any position. The flower of destruction created him. He integrated so many nutrients to nourish the wooden boat, and then became the wooden boat itself. Fate plays tricks on people. But at least everything is over. A new life, a new realm, and even the front is endless. Zhang Zizai took a deep breath. He came back. He stood in the place of origin. His hand was raised. He pinched the neck of a beauty. The girl looked at him affectionately with tears in her eyes. I love you. Zhang Zizai let go of her hand and hugged her in his arms. She was so great. She risked her life and used love to save herself, save the world, and save all living beings. This was the real greatness. In front of Zhang Zizai like that, letting him kill her is such a courage and courage. As expected, women sometimes get so angry that they can even hit themselves. Anyway, from today on, he completely admires the 9 immortals, and is willing to bow under her pomegranate skirt and hand over all the food and grass to her obediently. Time seems to have become eternity at this moment. From the moment she died, she was suddenly hugged, and she didn't react at all. Stop talking. Zhang Zizai felt her heartbeat. This feeling of being alive and awake was really good. So wonderful. Dad, Mom, I'm about to be squashed. Lingdang was angry. Is there such a show of affection, with the little cutie in the middle? My head is almost flat. Naughty. Zhang Zizai stretched out a hand. He originally wanted to throw this guy out. After all, children are in the way. But when he saw this girl and thought of her bravery just now, Zhang Zizai stopped. He slapped the child in the face. He kissed me and said, "You did a very good job today. As my daughter, you should have enjoyed the best treatment. The reincarnation technology is also technology. You deserve to be awesome." Smelly Daddy, seeing that he was finally normal, she burst into laughter. Very good. The days were great. Are you okay? Juxian was shocked. How could she suddenly change so much in one moment? Just now, she had almost been strangled to death, and no one else had reacted. One flower, one world, just for a moment. In an instant, they should be able to see now that the world that Zhang Zizhe was destroyed just now has begun to be repaired, and the heaven, earth, and universe are becoming more magnificent. The only pity is that the people who died have not been reborn. It's over. Zhang Zizhe touched her head. He had so many thanks that he wanted to give her. However, there is one more thing to do now. He asked the 9 immortals to stand aside, and then looked at his parents, brothers, and relatives. They all looked at him in confusion, including his father. Dad, what you said is ultimately correct. If you surpass yourself, you will eventually be able to reach an unprecedented state, Zhang Zizhe said. Have you achieved it? Zhang Yunting asked tremblingly. I achieved it, Zhang Zizhe smiled. What does it feel like? Yes, this is how I feel in this world at the moment. Dad, I am the Lord of the world now. I am not the Lord of destruction. There is no such thing, Zhang Zizhe said. I can't imagine, Zhang Yunting said twice. It's great if you can survive. Are you free? Ruohua asked with tears in his eyes. Relief, it's over. Peace of mind. Zhang Zizhe's tense body finally relaxed with these 3 words. Lord of the world, Zhang Junjian's eyes lit up. That's right, the Lord of the world, the first master of this universe since ancient times, or in other words, I am the universe itself, Zhang Zizhe said. Can you please stop bragging? It sounds funny. Suddenly a discordant voice came. Who is Zhang Zizhe, the deceased soul master? In this disaster, an insignificant little role. To the flower of destruction, this is just a slightly stronger parasite. Zhang Zizhe appeared in front of him. He used Long Yan's body and sneered, you finally woke up. You almost became a beast that killed your relatives. The power of the curse of destruction is beyond my imagination. Now, hand over the flower of destruction and I can avoid it once she dies. The deceased soul master is very confident. The situation became tense again, but the tense people did not include Zhang Zizhe's family, because they all knew that Zhang Zizhe would not lie under such circumstances. The Lord of the world, although impossible, must exist. Therefore, Zhang Zizhe suddenly smiled. Come out. He gently hooked his hand, and a god soul that merged with the 5 heavenly paths suddenly came out of Long Yan's body, and was then taken into Zhang Zizhe's hand. Long Yan had returned to normal, and she looked at it blankly. Everything, I still don't know what happened. Are you okay? Zhang Zizhe asked. What happened? Long Yan asked dully. She didn't know anything and missed a big show. Let's talk more slowly later, Zhang Zizhe said. At this time, the deceased soul master in his hand was already trembling. He already knew that it was scary. He didn't know what level of terrifying power Zhang Zizhe had. No way, no way. Noise, go to hell. The deceased soul master is like a bubble. When Zhang Zizhe squeezed it, it shattered with a ripple, and then disappeared without a trace. The soul of the god in the semi-ancestral realm disappeared forever in an instant. It's over. Dead, Yanner saw it most clearly. The soul of the deceased soul master shattered very simply, no different from a bubble. Dead, Zhang Zizhe said. Simple, crisp, and timeless. He brought Yanner back to everyone. His power to kill the deceased soul master had proven everything. Lord of the world, everyone looked at him passionately, including Zhang Yunting. So what, he's not your son yet? Zhang Zizhe smiled. This is the most perfect. He is the Lord of the world, and he is also Zhang Zizhe. It's over. A strange battle pushed the birth of the flower of destruction to its peak. No one thought that Zhang Zizhe would become the master of the world. But, it happened, so I'm glad. The only pity is that too many people died and all sentient beings suffered, Zhang Yunting said. Zhang Zizhe slaughtered 10 million peak dragons directly. Therefore, even if such good news comes, even if everything is over, it is still difficult to be happy. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Zhang Zizai didn't know what to say. Such a regret is hard to forget. His only doubt now is, who is the owner of Zilong Tower, the person who helped him today? He looked at the world blankly. Just when he thought he would never see this person again, suddenly, he saw a man behind Long Yan. That man suddenly appeared in his world, and he didn't notice it, it definitely made his hair stand on end. Judging from his clothes, he should be the owner of Zilong Pagoda, the man on the millstone of heaven and earth. Zhang Zizai, he called his name. Zhang Zizai suddenly discovered that everyone around him had stopped moving, and time was completely still. Not only the surroundings, but also the time of the entire universe had stopped. Zhang Zizai could do it, but he definitely couldn't change other people's worlds. Being still means that this person is really terrifying to the extreme. He stood beside Long Yan and looked at Long Yan with a smile and affection. Zhang Zizai found that she was not still. She was in a daze when she suddenly turned around and saw the man. In a still world, three people confront each other. Senior Zhang Zizai walked up. He didn't know why Long Yan could move, so he quickly said, "Thank you." "No, this is your own creation. I'm just adding fuel to the flames. The main thing is to look at you and your relatives." The other party smiled. "Thank you anyway." "Do you have any instructions, Senior?" Zhang Zizai asked. "There was no order, I just wanted to take away my precious daughter." The other party looked at Long Yan and suddenly said this. In fact, Long Yan was already a little excited. Because, in her memory, the vague man looked like this. Her father? Zhang Zizai was completely confused. Damn it, her father is so strong. Wipe the dog. Next came the old-fashioned time for their father and daughter to get to know each other. It didn't take much. The man came to Long Yan's mind, and she remembered everything. Dad. There were tears all over her face. You are not very lucky and let this kid get the upper hand. You have been reincarnated here for 300 lives and have not become the master of the world. This means that this world is not suitable for you. However, I have found another masterless world. This time it's very simple, you don't need to reincarnate, just use your true strength to snatch it. The man chuckled. It's easy for you not to tell me earlier. Long Yan was angry. I don't think you are too naughty. Let me give you some experience. The man said awkwardly. Experience your mother. 300 lives, why don't you die? If my mother knew that I worked so hard, you would kill me. You beast. Zhang Zizai was stunned. Is this her original character? It's a bit uncomfortable for her to be like this. This man was so terrifying, that he even made her scold him like this, and he was completely intimidated. Zhang Zizai seemed to see himself in front of Ling Dang in the future. Hey, give me some face in front of the kids, the man said awkwardly. Go away, Long Yan glared at him, if you don't succeed this time and let me become a god, I will find a loser to marry. No, my ancestor, the man said in distress. He was so majestic just now, but now he looked cowardly, which amazed Zhang Zizai. Has Long Yan changed? When she looked at Zhang Zizai, he suddenly realized that from the look in her eyes, she was still the same person, and her attitude towards him had never changed. I'm sorry, I don't know. This guy keeps me practicing here in order to become the master of the world here. Fortunately, you succeeded in the end, she continued with a smile on her face. It's time for me to go, let's go, we will meet again. Awesome. The second generation of the Lord of the World. Once she leaves, she will probably control a world when she comes back. It's really annoying to compare people to each other. The second generation of heaven. He had a hunch that his story with Long Yan would not be over yet, if the man didn't get angry. Zhang Zizai, from beginning to end, you did one thing right, otherwise I would kill you, the man said. What's the matter, senior? Zhang Zizai asked. Our family doesn't need a son-in-law, the man said. Well, it was so dangerous. If he had done something to Yan'er, he would have been dead long ago. Shut up, it's none of your business, Long Yan said angrily. Her completely different attitude towards Zhang Zizai and that man made Zhang Zizai understand what Long Yan was angry about. Do the right thing, Long Yan said. Okay, okay, I owe you in my last life. When the man was speaking, Zhang Zizai suddenly saw that the tens of millions of lives he had killed were suddenly reborn, and the creatures in the totem world were suddenly reborn. Suddenly, he returned to the same place, as if he had never died. This is resurrection from the dead. Awesome. What kind of realm is this? Zhang Zizai was stunned. You will know when you continue to practice and cultivate your world. Senior, how should I call you? Zhang Zizai asked. Me? As long as it's not my father-in-law, you can call me anything you want, the man said. Huh, with such determination, it seems that there is no chance to get close to the second generation of the sky. Nothing, we leave first. Hurry up and grab the master of the world, the man said to Long Yan. Yeah, she looked at Zhang Zizai again. In fact, she was a little reluctant. Zhang Zizai was also reluctant. Can we see each other again? Zhang Zizai asked. Yes, I will come to you, she said. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. Don't even think about it. Get out, the man pulled her daughter, and disappeared in an instant after saying that. Boy, my name is Long Chen, you can ask around. If you dare to have ideas about my daughter, how miserable will the end be, not to mention that you are a married man. At this point, it was completely gone. After this, time stopped and disappeared, the universe returned to order, and then, all the reborn lives returned. At this moment, there was no sadness, the universe, only carnival, only new life. Zhang Zizai finally smiled. 1. Life goals, completed, everyone is happy. Haha, I can finally live a carefree life, dedicated to having children. He laughed. What else is more enjoyable than this moment? Who are you going to have children with? As soon as the voice fell, a gentle voice came from behind. It turned out to be Juxian. Of course it's you, my wife, Zhang Zizai said hurriedly. In their world, they call each other husband and wife, and Zhang Zizai has been able to follow the local customs. I won't have any more children, only this one. If I want to have children, I will have them myself. It seems that the days to come will not be so good. There is a fierce woman at home. As the master of the world, can I still do this thing of peeping at the beauty of millions of billions of people taking a bath? Zhang Zizai thought about it and decided to forget it. The most important thing now is to gather all friends and relatives. Lu Dingxing, Su Qianyu, Zhang Yuning, Ruo Xiaoyu and other people who have intersections with me. They were confused, all summoned by Zhang Zizai, even Feng Xiaoxiao came. She looked at all this, confused. Except for Zhang Zizai and a few people she knew, she didn't know anyone else, she didn't know how she got here. Zhang Zizai said nothing, let them become gods directly, let them all be immortal. When they were given the power of heaven by Zhang Zizai and were immortal, they at least realized what this meant. Gods naturally have their own insights, and in the future, they will know more clearly what level Zhang Zizai is now. Zhang Zizai can only say, it's great to be the master of the world. Except that you can't watch beautiful women bathing. The origin of the land, reshuffled. From then on, the Supreme Clan was born again, and the remaining 5 peak races respected the Peak Dragon Clan. This time, they paid the price for their previous cruelty and killing. However, the pattern of the world has completely changed. From then on, there will only be one ruler between heaven and earth. This ruler is the world itself. He is Zhang Zizai. Of course, the ruler of the world will also be ruled by others, and the one who rules him is called Juxian. After that day, Zhang Zizai had a new idea. He wanted to wander in the original space. Would he be able to find the Earth one day and let his Jua return home? So, he started a new journey. The whole book is finished. P.S. Long Chen is the protagonist of my work Dragon Blood God of War. He is the first existence in my work to control the universe. Type the last word, and this book is officially finished. The third official work of the madman, Holy Dragon Totem, is over. From Dragon Blood God of War to Tunchenji, and then to Holy Dragon Totem, so far, the works completed by the madman have 20 million words. I started writing officially in 2012, and it has been nearly 7 years since today. Life has changed very quickly in the past few years. Crazy has also experienced the transition from college to graduation, supporting a family, and then getting married and having children. He has a wife and children and has begun to take on the responsibilities of a man. Many brothers and sisters have also become parents from students. Of course, there are also new brothers who have joined. I guess in a few years, I can be your uncle. Time is unforgiving. For a period of time, I suddenly focused on writing and rarely spoke. I no longer like to incite readers' emotions and ask everyone to do something for me. Because I believe that for the works that everyone likes, we can communicate with the characters and stories in the book. Every book has good and imperfect places. Crazy can only try to write it well. At least the update of this book is faster than Tunchenji. Regarding the Holy Dragon Totem, I don't want to say much. The original intention of this book is to write a sister chapter for Dragon Blood. It will not be too long. It will not be written to more than 10 million words before going down. The story ends reasonably, which should be enough. I made some changes to this book, but to be honest, there is no breakthrough. In the current market, it is very difficult to create works without breakthroughs, because piracy is still rampant, and the hard work of writing is difficult to be respected. Therefore, more than 95% of readers basically cannot give genuine support. I am paid by the website, so naturally I have to bear the risk of losing money. Books in the future will basically be more difficult to write long, which means higher costs, unless readers are willing to support genuine products and paid reading as much as possible. In fact, paid reading is not that terrible. It only costs a few cents a day, which is not much. Most friends can afford it. Everyone just finds it troublesome. In fact, if you really support it, genuine products are more convenient than pirated products. Holy Dragon Totem has ended. Do you remember? From 2012 to 2019, when Dragon Blood ended, the Heaven Swallowing record was updated immediately. When the Heaven Swallowing record ended, the Holy Dragon Totem was updated immediately. It has been 7 years. Crazy actually hasn't rested for many days. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content later. After the Holy Dragon Totem ends, Crazy will not open a new book immediately. This time, I don't want to rest, but I want to take a breath and really focus on the new book. The disadvantage of this is that some popularity will definitely be lost. In a month or two, it is estimated that some people will forget it. This era is like this. Stars will become outdated if they don't make a fuss. But the good thing is that it allows me to settle down, read more books, learn, think, find inspiration, and do enough respect and humility, instead of being insufficiently prepared as before. Counting it all, I have written 20 million words of this kind of hot-blooded fantasy for 7 years. The third book is still of the same type, and I am a little tired of it. So, I want to study whether there are any interesting and fun ideas. Of course, it will not deviate too far from my original track. It will also be a fantasy fairy tale, but there will definitely be different elements. Now there is only one thing left in my life, which is to relax, settle down, and use the best state to complete a work that surpasses myself. Here, I would like to thank all the readers who have seen my 3 books and liked the characters in them. Here, I would like to thank all the brothers and sisters who have supported me and encouraged me. Here, I would like to thank all the friends who have liked my works since Dragon Blood. It is my greatest honor to have you accompany me on the road of writing. I don't know how to repay you. I can only be more attentive and write a new book well. I hope that when I return to the road of writing with new works, everyone can still support me. I hope that my precipitation and thinking can be recognized by everyone. I am not afraid of losing popularity, I just want to do better. The specific time of the new book is uncertain now. The new book will definitely be released on 17K, and the madman will not change the place, so everyone will pay attention to it at that time. In addition, the madman's WeChat public account Feng Qingyang will definitely notify everyone in advance before the new book is released. If you want to know the information of the new book in advance, please follow my public account. Open Wix and add friends the bottom public account, search Feng Qingyang, click to follow. Thank you for your love. I hope to walk together on the new journey in the future. I will think more and devote myself to the best creation. A serious and hard-working person hopes to be recognized by friends. Thank you everyone.